you know what? Now I look back at my life and I say, I I I wouldn't change anything, but I wish I could have prevented a lot of things from happening.
Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Bruce B. Baird, and you're listening to the Productive Dentist Podcast. In this podcast, I will give you everything that I've learned over the last 40 years in dentistry, working with thousands of dentists. I'll tell you, it's not that my way is the only way. It's just one that has worked extremely well for me, and I'd love to share that with you so you too can enjoy the choices and lifestyle that productivity allows. More time for things you love, increased pay, better team relationships, and lowered stress. Let's get into it with this week's episode of the Productive Dentist Podcast.
Hi, this is Dr. Bruce Baird with the Productive Dentist Podcast. Today we're going to talk about something that I've been exposed to, and I get calls and I talk to friends, and it's probably the biggest thing that leads to loss of heart muscle, loss of stomach lining, loss of revenue, loss of the ability to be able to retire when you want to, and it comes down to divorce in dentistry. And this is a tough one to talk about because it's something that affects. I know we have a pandemic going on, but it's an epidemic in dentistry. Is people getting divorced, and I want to share this with you, and it's very personal, but hopefully it can help somebody in the future, and if I can do that, then I'm then I think I've done what God put me on earth to do is to help folks and in whatever way that we can. It's a hard conversation. And like I say, I know hundreds of dentists out there personally that have gone through divorce and gone through this. And what I want to share is kind of share a little bit about my story. And this may take a couple episodes. And I'd love to get some feedback from you. And I'd love for you to share this with your friends, and they don't have to be in dentistry. And I can only speak from my side of the story, which would be being a man, a dentist, and I can't really speak, from being a female dentist, but I have a feeling it works the same in many ways. When I first started practice, and I've told you guys, I was a workaholic. I felt the need as a man to provide for my family. And we began a family. I had 3 small daughters, kind of back to back. And I say 3 small daughters. They weren't so small. I heard a story last night during the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. Jimmy Johnson, had tears in his eyes. He was talking to his boys, and he said, he was apologizing that he wasn't there for them. Both of his boys played football. He never saw them play one down of football because he was so committed, and the thought process for him was, I'm going to provide. I'm going to be a provider. And I believe, when he said that, how many people we get so engrossed in our need to provide for our family and to be successful in whatever manner that is for you, that many times we forget the family. I was very fortunate. I coached my little dribblers, coached my girls in little dribblers basketball, and I was able to be there, but I'm not sure I was there. I was there, but in the back of my mind, it was always thought of as a sacrifice. I need to go do this, but I really need to be working. I really need to, be at the office working on this and working on that. And the thing that stands out to me more than anything, I read a wonderful book. Oh gosh, it's been 25 years ago, or maybe not that long, maybe 15 years ago. And it was about love and respect. And men, really require respect to kind of fill their bucket. And women really need love to fill their bucket. And it's two different things. And I see this where you're working all the time at the office, and you really kind of get in great relationships with people in your office that show you amazing respect. You're the best dentist. You're an amazing dentist. Um, and it's not just being a dentist. You're different when you're there. And then you come home and you're tired and you're wore out and you don't much feel like, you do what you have to do. And I have so much respect for dentists who've been married for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, because they got the message. I didn't. And when I would come home, it would be like, oh, I'm going to help with this. I'm going to help with chores. I'm going to help do these things. But the love I showed to my wife, this is my first wife, because obviously I'm telling the story, but I don't think I was there for her, because there was so much pressure and so much stress at the office. And what I can tell you is, as a man, if you're not showing respect, and the wife has been with the kids all day long, and they're kind of, you walking in and go, hey, here, you take her and I'll take this one and whatever. And you're like, oh gosh, okay, I will. And unfortunately, I think, we went to church all the time. We did all that stuff, but I just wasn't providing that feeling of love. Let me help. Let me help you with this. I've heard the term foreplay is not what we think. Foreplay is taking the trash out and hugging someone and doing the things that make them feel loved. And I missed that chapter in the book. And one thing about it is the dentists end up, well, they get a lot of respect at the office. I can't tell you how many affairs that go on in dental offices today, but the numbers are massive. I mean, it's something you can't even believe. And the reason is the team, the people around you are giving you, as a man, they're giving you respect. And that's really what you've always wanted. And so from the wife's side, when the husband comes in, the show of respect is something that they really need. I'm so proud of how hard you work. I'm so proud of that. On the flip side, from the guy's standpoint, the man's standpoint, when he comes home, she really needs love and she needs respect. And what I will tell you is, if people don't get that, they will find it somewhere else. If you're not coming home and doing the things, and I say they will, I mean, there's some obviously that will stick it out for years and years and years, but I don't think it's the life we were meant to lead. I don't think it's the maximum thing that we can do in our lives. And so if I look at this and I say, how could I help you in your journey through dentistry and through life? It's, if you're a female listening, your spouse, your significant other needs, really needs respect. And if you're the male, you really need to have foreplay all day long. You need to, do the little things that show love. And there are some people that are that way. And that, gosh, I would give anything if, like I say, if I had read that chapter in a book, but I didn't. So I ended up, going through a divorce and having an affair, and it broke up an amazing marriage. It broke up what could have been the potential for an amazing marriage. Financially, divorce is devastating. From a perspective of feeling good about yourself, it's devastating. If your wife at home, I mean, I can't tell you how many times, and this transcends dentistry, but how many times if the wife's not getting love at home, they find somewhere where they will get it. They find somewhere where they'll get attention. They'll find somewhere where they can, that basic instinct, that instinct that somebody loves me, they'll find it somewhere. So I went through a divorce, and again, it was very difficult. And a lot of guys think, well, look, and I'm going to talk about at the time of divorce. They're thinking, well, she doesn't understand me. She doesn't get me. She obviously doesn't appreciate all the hard work I'm doing. So I'm going to get divorced, and I'm going to find someone else that it's going to be great. And it can certainly happen. But what you end up finding out is, and this is a little too late, but you find out that now you want joint custody of your kids. Yes, and you're going to start spending time with your kids. You're forced to spend time with your kids because they're with you every other weekend. You now are going to the movies with them. You're taking them out to Chuck E. Cheese. You're going and doing things that you were too busy to do before, but now you're forced to do if you want to have a relationship with your children. It's a shame that many, many dentists don't even get to spend that time until they get divorced. And all of this freedom that they wanted, now they're planning things for the weekends for the kids. How are we going to transfer the kids? How are we going to do these things? And to be honest, it's just a tragedy. I did that. I mean, I can speak from experience. I spent I don't know, 15 years with my youngest daughter was 3 years old at the time, and I spent 15 years going, taking them places on weekends, doing things. Whereas if I would have just had a better way of thinking early on, then I probably would still be married, and I could have had an amazing relationship. Married to my high school sweetheart, and we had dated 5 years before we had our first child, and we were married almost 20 years. But I didn't read that chapter in the book, and so things fell apart. And what I challenge you to do is I challenge you to read that book, Love and Respect. As a female, read that book. As a male, read that book. If you don't know what it is, send me a text, bruce@productivedentist.com, or an email, and just look it up on Amazon. You'll see it. It'll pop right up. But read that book, because what I think it's going to do is it's going to give you, I hope, a different perspective on respect and love. And I do think they can coexist. And you don't have to say, I love you all day long to stay married. You don't have to hear, I respect you so much all day long to stay married. But what I believe is it's a giving and taking. We must give to receive. And I went through, again, years of a lot of pain after divorce. I got remarried. That turned out to be, you would think it was a disaster, but I had another little girl during that time frame. So on the one part of me says, gosh, I wish I'd have never done this. And then she popped up, and you know what? Now I look back at my life and I say, I wouldn't change anything, but I wish I could have prevented a lot of things from happening, in my life. I wouldn't change them because of where we are, but I'm going to share kind of part two of this podcast next. And I want to continue along this conversation. And I just pray that it helps somebody. If it helps one person out there have a phenomenal life and just have an amazing time here on the planet with people they love and with people that respect them, and then it would be something that I would be happy to have had some effect there. So anyway, I know this is a tough conversation for these two podcasts, but it's something that just been on my heart, and I've talked to several friends recently that are going through it now after 20 years, 15, 25, and it's just been, and they've asked my advice, and so I said, you know what, I'm going to do a podcast on this. So I hope this message either reaches you or maybe one of your friends, and I would love for you to share it, and I will be back and talk to you in a little bit.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Productive Dentist Podcast. If you found this episode helpful, make sure you subscribe. Pass it along to a friend. Give us a like on iTunes and Spotify, or drop me an email at podcast@productivedentist.com. Don't forget to check out other podcasts from the Productive Dentist Academy at productivedentistpodcast.com. Join me again next week for another episode of the Productive Dentist Podcast.